My name is Vivian Hayes, and at 33 years old, I never expected to become the family's endless ATM. For years, I quietly funneled cash to keep things afloat, especially to my sister, who always seemed one crisis away from disaster. I was the steady one, the overlooked one, until that anniversary dinner, when my mom decided to twist the knife right in front of everyone. The upscale French spot in downtown Seattle buzzed with forced cheer silverware clinking under soft lights. We'd just toasted my parents' 35 years, and I was midway through my salmon when my mom leaned in, her voice dripping sarcasm. "When will you buy a mansion like your sister?" She sneered, eyes flicking to my modest condo life. My sister smirked across the table, swirling her wine. "She's so clueless if she buys a bicycle that's already a miracle." The words landed like a slap, years of ignored promotions and silent bailouts flashing through my mind. Laughter bubbled up from somewhere deep. I couldn't stop it. Heads turned. I reached into my bag, pulled out the crisp contract folder, and slid it toward the center. My sister's smug grin froze mid-sip. Leaning back, I met her eyes, voice steady as steel. "So, how do you calculate the debt of a fool?" Silence crashed down. Forks hovered. My mom's face drained white. My sister stammered, but the damage was done. One question, and the whole fragile web started unraveling. "What do you think if your own family looks down on you and treats you like trash? Please comment and let me know." 8 months earlier, the first crack appeared with a late-night text from my brother-in-law, Derek. "We need to talk. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., that coffee shop off Pike Place. Alone." My stomach twisted as I stared at the screen, rain pattering against my Seattle apartment window. What could he want? Derek had always been the quiet type, the one who nodded along to Kendra's endless schemes without a word. The next morning, fog clung to the streets as I pushed through the cafe door, the scent of fresh espresso hitting me like a warm fog. Derek sat in the corner booth nursing a black coffee, his eyes darting like he expected Kendra to burst in any second. He was 37, broad-shouldered from his IT security gigs, but today he looked worn, shadows under his eyes from too many sleepless nights. "Vivian," he said, voice low, as I slid into the seat across from him. He pushed a small USB drive across the scarred wooden table. "This changes everything. I've been holding on to it for months, but I can't anymore." I picked it up, the plastic cool against my fingers, heart pounding in my ears. "What is this, Derek? If it's about another emergency loan for her?" He shook his head, leaning forward, his whisper urgent. "It's proof. All of it. The forged will. She slipped into your parents' estate papers 2 years back, making sure she'd get the bulk of the inheritance. Screenshots of credit card fraud, her racking up charges in their names, then routing the bills through dummy accounts. And this..." He paused, rubbing his temple, "an audio file from last week. She was on the phone with her financial advisor, admitting she pressured Harlan and Lorraine into those gifts that wiped out their retirement nest egg." I plugged the drive into my laptop right there, the cafe's hum fading as the files loaded. First, the will document, pages of legalese with Kendra's signature forged in Harlan's shaky hand, witnessed by some shady notary she'd paid off. Then the transaction logs. Over 15 years, she'd siphoned nearly $300,000 through loans and reimbursements, all while posting sponsored hauls on her influencer feed. The audio crackled to life, Kendra's voice smooth as silk, laughing. "They'll never check the details. Mom's too busy playing grandma and dad. He signs whatever I put in front of him. It's just family helping family." Bile rose in my throat. I'd covered so many of those emergencies myself, $20,000 last year alone for her brand upgrades. Wired via Venmo, while she flaunted designer bags in stories. "How long have you known?" I asked, voice barely above a hiss. Derek glanced away, fingers drumming the table. 2 years. Started when I audited our joint accounts for taxes, found the patterns she thought I missed. As an IT guy, tracing digital trails is my job. I confronted her once quietly. She gaslit me, said it was harmless. But watching you foot the bills, Vivian, pretending it was fine, it ate at me. You're the one who's built something real, a career stability, and she treats you like the family piggy bank. Rain streaked the window beside us, blurring the market crowds outside. I gripped the USB tighter, a cold resolve settling in my chest like frost on glass. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a blueprint of greed laid bare in bits and bytes. Why now? I pressed through part of me already knew. Because she's planning the next hit targeting your inheritance share. Next whispering to your parents about fairness. I couldn't let it slide anymore. He stood tossing cash on the table. Use it or delete it. But if you don't stop her, no one will. As he walked out into the drizzle, I sat frozen, the drive burning a hole in my palm. That night, I reached for my phone. The call went straight to Fiona that night. My friend Fiona Keller, a corporate lawyer with a knack for cutting through nonsense, didn't hesitate when I told her about Derek's USB. Sitting across from me in my dimly lit Seattle condo, her sharp green eyes scanned the forged will on my laptop screen. Lips pursed tight. "This is fraud, Vivian," she said, voice clipped with conviction. "Your sister's been playing you all like pawns for years." Rain tapped the windows as we plodded over glasses of Merlot, the city's gray skyline blurring outside. Fiona had seen me wire $20,000 to Kendra over the past year, money for her brand emergencies that turned into sponsored yacht trips. "She's a narcissist," Fiona said, swirling her glass. "You don't just confront her. You set the stage, let her expose herself. We mapped it out like a chess game. First, I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Tom, who charged $5,000 to dig deeper. He cross-checked Kendra's dummy accounts, tracing transactions back to her influencer payouts, money she'd claimed was tied up while begging me for cash. His report confirmed the will's notary was a fraud paid off in cash at a strip mall office. Next, Fiona brought in a fraud lawyer, a sharp woman named Denise, who'd handled estate disputes across Washington. "If you drop this at the right moment," Denise advised, tapping her pen, "the will's invalid in probate court. Your parents' retirement funds recoverable, but only if you act fast." Timing was everything. Fiona suggested the anniversary dinner for my parents' 35th, a glitzy affair where Kendra would strut her fake success. "Let her dig her own grave," Fiona whispered, leaning forward. "Wear something understated, jeans, maybe. Let them mock you. It'll make the reveal hit harder." I nodded, my pulse quickening at the thought. I'd spent years swallowing their jabs, always the lesser sister despite my six-figure digital marketing job. This time, I'd turn their game against them. Over the next 8 months, I prepped every detail. Denise drafted a contract summarizing the fraud, $300,000 in misdirected funds, the forged will, and Kendra's recorded boasts. I memorized key lines to keep my voice steady when the moment came. Tom sent weekly updates. Kendra was pitching new brand deals, oblivious to the net tightening around her. Derek agreed to stay silent, his guilt-ridden eyes meeting mine over Zoom. "I'll back you up at the dinner," he muttered. "She can't keep doing this." I practiced in front of my mirror, holding the contract folder, imagining their faces when the truth landed. My stomach churned, but resolve hardened like steel. To take down a narcissist, Fiona had said, give them the spotlight and watch them burn. I was ready to light the match. And then the night of their anniversary arrived. Rain fell hard that September evening as I stepped into Le Rivage, the upscale French restaurant glowing with candlelight in downtown Seattle. My parents' 35th anniversary dinner was the perfect stage, just as Fiona predicted. I wore faded jeans and a plain sweater, deliberately understated my contract folder tucked inside a leather satchel. The plan was simple: let them strike first. My mother, Vivian Hayes, elegant in a silk shawl, greeted me with a tight smile, her eyes scanning my outfit with disapproval. My father, Harlan Hayes, adjusting his tie, gave a distracted nod. My sister Kendra Hayes swept in 10 minutes late, her designer heels clicking, a new gold necklace glinting under the chandeliers. Traffic was brutal. She announced, kissing Mom's cheek, her influencer charm dialed to maximum. We sat at a round table, crystal glasses sparkling. I steered the conversation toward houses, knowing Kendra couldn't resist. "Your new place is stunning," I said, voice light, nodding at Kendra. "What's it worth now?" "2 million?" She smirked, tossing her hair. "Close to 3. You'd know if you ever left that shoebox condo of yours." Mom chimed in, her tone sharp. "When are you getting a mansion like your sister's Vivian? That marketing job must pay something." I sipped my wine, heart pounding but face calm. "Oh, it pays enough," I replied, pausing. "Enough to cover Kendra's emergencies at least." The table stilled. Kendra's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" she snapped. "Exactly what it sounds like," I said, evenly pulling the contract from my satchel and sliding it across the tablecloth. $300,000 in credit card charges funneled through dummy accounts. A forged will cutting me out of Dad's estate. Your voice on tape, Kendra laughing about family helping family. Lorraine gasped, her fork clattering. Harlan's face hardened, staring at the folder. Kendra's smirk vanished, her voice shrill. "You're lying. That's not—" "Not what?" Derek interrupted, his chair creaking as he leaned forward. I gave her the proof. "Kendra. The accounts, the audio, the notary you bribed. It's over." His words landed like a thunderclap, the restaurant's murmur fading to nothing. I leaned back, meeting Kendra's panicked eyes. "So how do you calculate the debt of a fool?" I asked, my voice cutting through the silence. Lorraine's hand flew to her mouth. Harlan flipped through the contract, his jaw tight, muttering, "This can't be true." "It is," I said, standing. "And I'm done covering your lies, Kendra. No more bailouts. Not 1 cent." Kendra stammered, tears welling, but I turned away, the weight of years lifting off my shoulders. The waiter hovered, sensing the storm, then retreated. 2 days later, the fallout began. My phone buzzed relentlessly that first morning after the Le Rivage showdown, texts piling up from Kendra, half begging, half accusing. I ignored them, sipping coffee in my Seattle condo, the city's fog pressing against the windows. By noon, Derek called, his voice taut. "I filed for divorce this morning, Vivian," he said, exhaling sharply. "No fault, clean break. Froze our joint accounts too. She can't touch a dime." I leaned against the counter, pulse racing. "How'd she take it?" I asked, picturing Kendra's face. "Screaming," he replied, almost a chuckle. "Said I betrayed her. But I'm done covering her lies." By evening, he'd moved out, leaving Kendra alone in their oversized house. Then came Mom's call, her voice trembling. "Vivian." "We checked the bank statements," Lorraine said, choking back a sob. "She's been taking money for 15 years, nearly $300,000. Credit cards, transfers, all disguised as family expenses." "How did we miss this?" I clutched the phone. My knuckles white as she described Harlan's silence, his hands shaking over the numbers. They'd already contacted a lawyer to start probate proceedings, the forged will, now a ticking bomb for Kendra's inheritance grab. By the next day, Kendra's world crumbled faster. A tech blog, likely tipped by someone in Derek's IT circle, leaked her misused funds, and her Instagram brand deals vanished overnight. 2 major sponsors dropped her, citing reputational risk, their emails blunt and public. Kendra's frantic posts tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but the comments tore her apart. "Liar," one read. "Pay your debts," another. Ellis, my cousin, called late that second night, his voice steady but grim. "I told the family about the will," he said, pausing. "Aunt Lorraine's sisters are furious, demanding a full audit. Probate court's next, they'll void it." I nodded, though he couldn't see my chest tight with vindication and exhaustion. Kendra had played everyone, but the truth was out, spreading like wildfire. I opened my phone, blocked Kendra's number, then Mom's and Dad's. My inbox pinged with her emails, pleading, then raging, but I deleted them unread. "No more," I whispered, staring at the screen. I'd wired $20,000 to her last year alone, thinking it was for her kids, Logan and Wyatt. Now I knew it funded her curated lies, designer dresses, staged photo shoots. Enough was enough. Fiona texted, checking in. "You okay?" she asked. Better than ever, I typed back, my fingers steady. I'd already called my lawyer to protect my own accounts, freezing my credit to block Kendra's next move. The family group chat, once buzzing with her charm, went silent, the aunt's messages now cold and clipped. Kendra's empire of manipulation was collapsing, and I felt no guilt watching it burn. 3 years earlier, a single comment had started it all. Ellis's words 3 years ago sparked everything. At a rainy family barbecue in Seattle, my cousin Ellis pulled me aside, beer in hand, his brow furrowed. "Something's off with your parents' will," he muttered, glancing at Kendra laughing with Mom across the yard. "She's been pushing them to rewrite it, favoring her." My stomach dropped, the grill's smoke stinging my eyes. I'd always known Kendra got the spotlight, but this felt different, calculated. Growing up, Kendra was the golden child, her influencer gigs racking up likes, while I buried myself in books unnoticed. Mom and Dad doted on her new cameras, trips to LA for brand collabs, while I scraped by on scholarships. By my mid-20s, I'd been wiring her money for crises, $20,000 over the years, thinking it helped her kids, Logan and Wyatt. Her Instagram told another story: luxury sunglasses, curated brunches, a life I unknowingly funded. Ellis's comment gnawed at me. I hired an accountant, a meticulous woman named Carla, to audit my parents' finances. Her report hit like a freight train: 15 years of transfers to Kendra, nearly $300,000 masked as gifts or loans. Credit card charges for her brand deals shuffled through accounts I'd never seen. "This is deliberate," Carla said, adjusting her glasses. "She's been exploiting their trust and yours." Then came Derek's message, a LinkedIn ping late one night in September 2022. "I can't keep quiet anymore." He wrote, his profile photo grim. "We met at a park bench, wind rustling the pines." "Kendra's drowning us," he confessed, voice cracking. "She pressures me to stay silent, says it's for the boys. But it's her, always her." He'd found her dummy accounts while auditing their taxes, patterns matching Carla's report. "She's planning to rewrite your inheritance next," he added, handing me a flash drive with early evidence. I sat, frozen rain pooling around my sneakers. Kendra's charm had always masked her greed, but this was a system: years of lies, siphoning money while Mom signed checks blindly. My hands trembled, not from anger, but clarity. I'd been the family's safety net, bailing out her manufactured emergencies while she played victim. Revenge served cold isn't about rage, I thought, gripping the drive. It's cold calculation. For 6 months, I gathered more bank records, emails, screenshots, building a case with Carla's help. Every transfer I'd made, every plea I'd answered, fueled my resolve. Kendra thought she'd outsmarted us all, but I was done playing her game. Now, 3 years later, I stood in Portland. Portland's skyline glowed that evening as I stood by my apartment window, a steaming coffee mug warming my hands. My phone buzzed again. Kendra's 47th call in 6 months. Another voicemail I'd never hear. I deleted it without a second thought. The screen's glow reflecting my calm. 3 years after Ellis's warning, 2 years after Derek's evidence, 1 year after that dinner at Le Rivage, I was done carrying their weight. Theo sat across from me, his steady eyes watching as I set the phone down. "You ever regret it?" he asked, leaning back on the couch, his voice soft but curious. I shook my head, the city's hum filtering through the glass. "The best way to love someone," I said, "is to let them face their consequences." He nodded, understanding what I'd fought to learn. Kendra's world had collapsed under her own lies. After the probate court voided the forged will, her Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing followed 6 months ago. The trustees sold her mansion, her designer bags, even her curated Instagram aesthetic gone. Her credit was ruined for a decade, forcing her into a cramped studio apartment in Seattle's outskirts. She worked part-time at a bookstore, now her influencer days buried under a mountain of distrust. Therapy had started, but friends said she barely showed up, still clinging to her victim narrative. Mom and Dad weren't spared either. The probate fight drained their retirement savings, $300,000 in misused funds they'd never recover. Lorraine sent me a letter last month, her handwriting shaky, apologizing for the years of blindness. Harlan followed with one of his own, admitting he'd enabled Kendra's greed. They were selling their house, downsizing to a modest condo, learning to live frugally at 60. I didn't reply. Their words felt too late, hollow against the decades I'd spent as the invisible daughter, wiring $20,000 to prop up Kendra's facade. I glanced at Theo, his quiet presence grounding me. "I've built something real here," I said, gesturing to the city beyond. My digital marketing career was thriving, my Portland apartment a sanctuary of my own making. I'd frozen my credit, cut all ties, even skipped the family's last Christmas. Ellis texted occasionally, updating me on the aunt's outrage, but I let those threads fade too. Self-respect, I realized, was the foundation of any healthy relationship. For years, I'd thought love meant sacrifice, bailing out Kendra's endless crises while Mom and Dad cheered her on. Now, standing firm in my boundaries, I saw the truth. Letting them face the wreckage was the kindest thing I could do. My phone stayed silent at last, and I smiled, tasting freedom in the bitter coffee. If you could go back, would you solve all the problems my way? Sometimes slow down, think deeply. Can we really find the right thing in life? Please help me and tell me what you think.